and then I'll post a recording after this. So obviously we know it's starting a new week. Obviously last week was an absolute banger of a week. I mean, I know quite a few of you ended up catching, oops, go away. All right, I know a few of you ended up catching the indice plays from last week, which obviously I'm still holding. We've got, NAS and ES, obviously still back to go to that final target. I will look for some re-entries today on New York Stock Exchange open, but we've still got what, 2.5 hours before New York Stock Exchange. So there's no point trying to trying to trade these before. What's good, Johnny, man? There's obviously no point trying to trade these before. Yeah, bro, we'll definitely go for a top down, man. I mean, that's obviously how we how we mark up charts, bro. So yeah, so let's kind of hop right into everything, man. So obviously, first things first, we do want to start off with the dollar, because obviously we know the dollar is the world reserve currency. So checking out on the fundamentals, we know that recently we did have a short uptick with our inflation data coming out for the US dollar, which is pretty much why we've been seeing this expansion in price. For me, I'm not necessarily convinced that the dollar bulls are going to be here for too long term, just because of the fact we're in quantitative easing. Like the Fed have already started to cut interest rates. Even though the US dollar is a lagging indicator for obviously the bond market, we go out on a higher time frame. I mean, there's nothing bullish about this on a weekly time frame, right? And if we are looking for this thing to create a new leg, I'll just minimize all this stuff. If we are looking for this to create a new leg to the downside right on the weekly time frame, I mean, look, we're in a weekly time frame. This impulse took, 2,000, almost 300 days before. So, is this sell-off going to happen today? It's going to take time, right? We're looking at a move over the next 10 years across the US dollar. And especially with Trump coming into office, everyone's like, oh, this is bullish for the dollar. Listen, we've seen the exact same thing that happened last time Trump came in office, where Trump got elected at the end of the year. I mean, let's go and investigate it, right? Obviously, last time Trump was in office, right, what happened? We was in phase B of a larger distribution, right? Where obviously, if I pull up our distribution schematic, was in phase B of our distribution, waiting for that manipulation. And obviously, the catalyst for that event was Trump coming into office. This was when Trump won the election, and this is when he actually came into office, because obviously, the president don't come into office until the new year, right? So Trump won't be officially in office until January. So he came in office in January, and then we had the sell-off. And obviously, then Biden come in office, and obviously, he caused that rally in price. So I'm pretty much looking at almost a similar thing here. The fact that we came into that higher time frame, right? We obviously then broke a lower time frame market cycle. So for me now, I'm looking at this as potentially a larger redistribution and just getting our manipulation. So what is going to really confirm this for me now is essentially what is going to happen on the FOMC meeting tonight, because we know what has the Fed been doing recently. Let me make the chat actually, so you guys can all see each other's message. Wait there. Oh, I just lost the chat box. Give me a sec. 1 second. Okay, I have to do it later. I don't think I can change it now. All right, cool. We'll leave it. Anyway, so what do we know, guys? You can message me. What has the Fed been doing recently? What has the Fed been doing recently in terms of their interest rates? What have they been doing? You guys tell me. What has the Fed been doing recently? They're cutting rates, 100%, right? 100% they're cutting rates. So the reason they were cutting rates is to obviously see that progressive inflation. Because if we go back and look at our, obviously PCE data and CPI data, if we go back and look at what happened with our CPI data last week, where was it? I know we got PCE coming out this week, but when we go look at our US dollar inflation data, where is it? Maybe it's the week before. Here we go, week before. Right, we obviously did see a very short uptick. All right, so this is why we're seeing this short-term rally in the dollar, because investors are starting to think, well, if inflation's starting to creep up a little bit again from 2.4 to 2.6, maybe that could make the Fed hesitant with continuing to cut rates. And obviously, when the Fed cut their interest rates, that is what, obviously the dollar is a lagging indicator, but that's what's going to make what we call bond yields start to sell off, because there's a correlation with the government bond yields and the US dollar. Because when the interest rates are high, people want their money in government bonds, where you can have a guaranteed 5% return on investment for 3 years, 2 years, 10 years, 30 years, depending on what government bond you actually buy. So where we've been seeing that they did cut rates, right? That was why we was getting some sell-offs on the dollar. But now starting to see the short-term uptick as well. This is now making investors think, all right, a minute, what is the Fed going to do, right? Are the Fed still confident with the path of inflation? And are they still committing to their interest rate cuts? Because if they, obviously this is where we're going to find out in today's meeting. So in today's meeting, if the Fed come in and are like, look, we're not worried about the recent uptick of inflation. If they're like, all right, cool, we're continuing the path to cutting rates and we're going to keep cutting rates, that should now be our catalyst for maybe the UTAD of the dollar. Now, of course, we don't just say this is going to happen. We have to build a case, right? Anyone can be wrong. I'm not right 100% of the time, and that's just real life. We have to build a case. So when I'm looking at the fact that, all right, Trump come in here, right? And we obviously are getting this larger shakeout to do what? To take out and shake out all these weak hands, right? To obviously take all this liquidity as our UTAD of our redistribution. So when I start looking across the board, all right, what are we also seeing, right? We're also seeing, right, if I show you this, right, right there, we are also seeing across the board that institutions are beginning to add short positions on the US dollar, right? Our non-commercial players are now net short on the US dollar. Now, obviously, we're going to get more data that's going to come out today. All right, so we'll probably know this maybe around New York Stock Exchange open or some point later tonight. These are institutions. So we're seeing them add short positions. And what am I also noticing now on the dollar? What can we see here? We're seeing a larger distribution start to build out, right? 100%, right? We've come in, we've built our buyer's climax, automatic reaction, secondary test, another test, minor sign of weakness, and obviously then our up thrust. So we've got a nice type 2 distribution here. So obviously we can't guess this. We need to wait for it to confirm, which is waiting for this sign of weakness. So if we can see this sign of weakness and then see a redistribution and confirm that bearish market cycle, for me, it's lights out on the dollar at that point. And now this is where we build a case. We know that the Fed have been cutting rates. If the Fed now come out tonight and are like, all right, bet, all right, we're continuing, to cut rates. And now we couple that with PCE data coming out this Wednesday, right? And if we see PCE data give us a downtick from 0.3%, because obviously last time this uptick from 0.2 to 0.3, and obviously PCE is the number one metric that the Fed look at for inflation. So basically, if we can see this data come out lower than previous, that's our catalyst to short the dollar. If this now comes out higher than previous, there ain't going to be no short sellers on the dollar. This thing's going to go higher. So how I'm starting to build this case is, again, from that higher time frame, all right, that on the weekly, we've obviously come into this 80%. Of course, could this be a larger move where it does something like this? Sure, it can. But when I look at what happens every time a Republican's in the presidential office, you get sell-offs on the dollar. Trump himself said he wants to devalue the dollar, all right? Obviously, right now, we're seeing this shakeout to make everyone long. Just like crypto, when it goes to all-time highs, everyone starts buying, it shakes them out, everyone loses, and then the real move occurs. Same thing what we're seeing here. So when I also see the fact, like I said, we're seeing institutionals orders starting to go short, right? We're seeing them add more short positions. If we can see this week's data come out and shows us more net shorts, and this short number increases, and we see more short selling being added, for me, and now we start to see that Fed tonight talk about, all right, continuing to cut rates. We now see PCE data starting to come out lower. This is all going to be that narrative to short sell the dollar. Now, of course, right, you got to be open to other sides of the coin. If the Fed come out today and they're like, look, we're hesitant on cutting rates, we might pause our rates, and then we see PCE uptick, no, there's no reason for short sellers in the market anymore. We'll then continue to probably rally at some point, and this thing turn into a reaccumulation. But this is how we've got to look at all the data that's available to us and basically use it to build a case. Like, does TradingView charge you to change the timeframes? Do you get charged to check Forex Factory? No, we don't, right? So we can use all of the data in front of us to make the most accurate and well-informed decision, rather than, just thinking like 2-dimensionally. Let's think 3-dimensionally and 4-dimensionally and look at all the influences in the market right now. So for me, I'm looking at this as a larger distribution. So for me, there's two kind of main scenarios that get me in, or a few main scenarios that get me into a trade. Again, it is Tuesday. It is very early in the week, But at this point in time, it doesn't really look like we're going to accumulate out of here. My thing is like, if we do end up building an accumulation here and showing some signs of strength, all right, cool. Maybe obviously what the Fed say tonight, okay, maybe we'll see some higher pricing. But how I really want to trade this for the safest way is I want to wait for this. All right, bro. I want to wait for this sign of weakness, all right, and exit the trading range to confirm that distribution. Now, by that point, this should bring us to the Fed meeting, and this should bring us to the PCE data coming out. If we do get this sell-off, the question is, are we now? Again, we can't predict. My audio is quite low. Is it? Guys, is my audio low? I can try and turn the volume up. Is it better now? That's fine. You got to turn your volume up, my G. You got to turn that volume up, man. You got to turn that shit up. Now it's loud. All right, I'll turn it back down. All right. Okay, turn it down. What about now? How's this? Is this nice? Yeah, maybe I'll give you some ASMR with my peppermint tea and my herbs. Too low? For fuck's sake. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make it full volume and I'll let you lot adjust it on your end. What about now? So that's perfect. All right, turn me up. Let's go. All right, cool. So remember, in trading, it's not predicting, right? Like, even though, we can be very accurate of our entries, don't get in an ego trip of trying to predict what the move is, right? Think about what is happening in terms of if-then scenarios. If this happens, then I'll do that. So my if-then scenario is that this is an active distribution. If this shows weakness and gives a mitigation, now I can look to start short selling this. If, keyword, the Fed come out tonight with their meeting and keep talking about quantitative easing, keep talking about stimulating the economy, keep talking about lowering interest rates, risk on environment, right? That will be our catalyst for the dollar shorts, and obviously PCE data coming out lower. Does that make sense? Can I get a 111 if that makes sense? Or if obviously anyone has any questions, please ask now or forever hold your peace. At 111, makes sense? Perfect. I'm trying to make the chat back to everyone. I don't know how I change that. I'm not sure what I did there. Yeah, it's in host mode. Meeting questions. I'm not sure what that is. AI technology. I'm sorry, I don't know what that is, my bro. So I'm going to press no. But I'm not sure why I can't make the chat. Everyone talk to everyone again. Okay, no problem. We'll just get into the charts. Yeah. All right. What's good, Jay? How's your sugar cane, bro? So cool. We've all got a game plan now on the dollar. So now, right, this is how I'm going to be. Like I said, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to set an alert here. Right, I'm going to set an alert on this low to give you my sign of weakness. Now, look, if it does end up accumulating in here and shooting higher, I don't care because that's not my scenario. Like, you can't be attached to every single move and try and catch every single pip. New to DXY. So no. So the DXY is the dollar index. We don't trade this. This is the dollar, and the dollar is the world reserve currency. So what we do is we use this to essentially determine what's going to happen with pairs driven by the US dollar. So if I'm looking at Euro USD, GBP USD, right, or maybe anything else that's heavily influenced by the dollar, I want to know what the dollar's doing. Because once I know what this is doing, I can now create a game plan across all the other markets. Like, when you're trading certain currency pairs, you can't just look at the currency pair in front of you because you have to know what it's driven by. Like, for example, if I'm opening Euro USD to trade it, I don't give two flying fucks what's happening with the euro because the Euro USD is not influenced by the euro. But Kieran, it's got euro in it, yeah, but it's driven by the dollar, right? The dollar is the world reserve currency. So in this case, I care more about what's happening with the dollar. So for me now, knowing that the DXY is the same as Euro USD, how I'm going to play this is the same way. If we see what's going on with the Fed and we continue seeing those narratives we built, that should now confirm this as a larger accumulation. But as it stands right now, it's still maintaining our lowest form of a bearish market cycle. So of course, if it does give a distro in here, and now we hear the Fed talk about pausing rates, we see PCE data come out higher, we can now short Euro USD down to the downside. But like I said, if we get those fundamental narratives coming in, this thing's just going to drive. And obviously, if it then does something like that, I'll wait for the mitigation and get in on a lower time frame accumulation to rally this thing higher. Does that make sense? Euro USD, GBP USD is probably the easiest. Other currencies, you do have to check and do the test for driving. I have got a training on that in the chat. So you have to check what drives it. And all that is pretty simple. I'm going to do it really quickly now. But for example, this is Euro USD, right? So what I'd do is I'd clear all the markups. I'd split my chart into three. And this is professional trading, right? We'll now look at the Euro futures. What's futures? Futures is the most accurate price depiction you can get. So I'll open the Euro futures, then I'll open up the dollar index, which is dollar futures. Now, obviously, I'm going to flip the dollar upside down because it's trading against Euro USD. Now, out of all of these, what one looks the most similar to Euro USD? Right? For me, it's a funny thing. Euro is the exact opposite of the dollar. So this is a bit of an easy one. So Euro is always going to be the opposite of the dollar. So Euro USD is always driven by the dollar. But if we looked at USD JPY, check this out. Everyone thinks, oh, USD JPY, it's got US dollar in it. Okay, but it's also got Japanese yen in it. So if I'm looking at the Japanese yen futures, right? Where's my CME chart? All right, if I'm looking at Japanese yen futures now, maybe open a cleaner chart with more data. Here we go. All right. And we flip this one upside down, and we flip this one upside down. All right. So now, if we go up to a higher time frame, right, we just zoom out, we kind of line them all up, right? Out of these charts, top one being USD JPY, middle one being Japanese yen, bottom one being dollar, what one looks the most similar to the USD JPY? It's Japanese yen. So that tells me that it's not the dollar influencing USD JPY, it's the Japanese yen that's influencing USD JPY. Because this chart is looking the most similar, and that's the easiest way to tell. Now, because of that, that means that I'm not going to completely neglect what's going on with the dollar. It will have a small influence, but I'm going to be more favored to the Japanese yen, and I'm going to pay more attention to what's going on with the Japanese yen, because it's the Japanese yen that's influencing or driving USD JPY. So for me, I've got three screens. So I'd have USD JPY here, I'd have dollar here, and I'd have Japanese yen here. And I'd look at them to think, well, what is the most similar to the one I'm trading? So if you're trading Euro NZD, which terrible currency pair, but if you you'd obviously open Euro NZD here, Euro here, NZD here, and you'd look at them to think what one looks the most similar to Euro NZD. And that tells you what fundamentals you pay more attention to, the Euro or the NZD. Obviously, they're still going to have a small influence of the dollar as well, or the euro, or whatever you're trading, but of course, pay more attention to the one that's driving it, if that makes sense. Can we count the dollar right now as a type 4 reaccum? Well, I don't know. It depends what the institutions are doing, bro. It depends what the fundamentals do, Remember, technical analysis is not set in stone, Fundamentals is. So it's going to be all of the fundamental news that comes out today and this week, which is going to determine that direction, bro. So I don't know what the Fed are going to do. I'm not going to guess, It's just too stressful trying to guess. I don't, you know what I mean? I'm just going to create an if-then scenario. So when I look at the dollar right now, what data do I have available to me? I can see that across the board, institutions last week were adding short selling to the market. We've got more of this data coming out tonight, which obviously I'll update in our community, right? And when I look at this, for me, this is just a larger distribution, bro. How I see this, obviously I'm always open to discussion, but for me, I can't see this as a reaccumulation. Where's my shakeout? I've got a buyer's climax here, automatic reaction here, secondary test, another test, minor sign of weakness, and an upthrust. And now potential LPS Y to give a sign of weakness to maybe do that. Light bulb moment. I love that, bro. When two pairs fundamentally support each other, e.g., USD bullish and JPY bearish, would you pay more attention to them? Definitely, 100%. That would be more on my priority list. So let's say it's something like Euro GBP or AUD NZD, which are highly correlated. they're going to be very low on my priority list because they highly correlate and they just don't really move a lot. What about a pair like Euro Chef? So yeah, you'd look at Euro Chef and in Euro Chef, why would you look at so in the Euro Chef, why would you look at the dollar? Because you're looking at Euro and Chef. You look at the Euro and the Swiss franc futures. What's up with gold correlation, bro? I have no idea what drives gold. There's not a correlation with the dollar and gold. I mean, gold is something that's, to be honest with you, bro, it's not really that clean. It's being treated as a commodity recently. So it's just following more of like a risk on environment. But apart from that, mate, it's starting to really change. It used to be viewed as a safe haven, but now it's getting treated as a commodity. And there's no correlation with gold and the dollar. I'll put the link in the chat, Curvin, bro. I'll put the link in the chat. Can you look at GBP? Yeah, bro, we're gonna get on GBP USD, 100%. So obviously, bro, Tom, we got to go for the dollar first because GBP USD is driven by the dollar. Once we've got a game plan with the dollar, that helps us now looking at GBP USD. So if I'm looking at dollar now as an active distribution, I need to be very careful that buyers can show up on GBP USD. Does that make sense? So now if I'm looking at shorts on dollar and I'm looking at shorts on GU, I'm going to be wrong on one of them. So now I know that, all right, potentially DXY is in a larger distribution. That could be that GU is in a potential larger accumulation. So obviously we know we had those bangers last week on these, but for me now, this is potentially, all right, if we zoom out higher time frame, well, where are we? All right. We know that dollar's in a distribution. Oh, all right. And Dylan, you here? Dylan, you still holding that trade still? You better be. Don't close that trade we took last year, bro. Oh mate, this trade was a fucking banger, bro. This is the greatest trade I've ever took in my career. This was crazy. But we know that where are we, right? GU short. Yeah, so let's look higher time frame. So here's the thing, right? If then scenarios. If now again, this all rises and falls on what the Fed do this week. If the Fed meeting come out tonight and they're like, no, we're raising rates, all right, game over. This ain't gonna work out. But if they talk about continuing to cut rates, they're happy with inflation's progress. We then see PCE data come out lower this week. Yeah, GU should start to go higher. And of course, if we can see confirmation with the institutional positions on the COT as well, right? See it, man. Oh, yeah, no, I opened this up to the public actually, bro, this one. So that's why. How often do you withdraw profits? It depends on the account, bro. Like I've got a bunch of accounts. So if it's a funded account, anytime I'm up 1 or 2%, I'll withdraw, right? Because do not fall down that route of trying to create a buffer on a funded account. Every funded account is a demo, and every single funded account will try to not pay you out, right? It's a marketing scheme that makes you think you can make millions of dollars with them. What you do with a funded account is you make 1 or 2%, then you withdraw. 1 or 2% withdraw. Then you change the account and change the firm. Because once you start trying to withdraw 10K, 20K, 40K payouts, they're not going to pay you out. They're going to make up reasons. I've had so many payouts denied. And that's why, because they don't want to pay you out, because they make money not off live accounts. They make money off demo accounts. They're all fucking demo. There's no such thing as a prop firm where you pay money to do a challenge. A real prop firm will give you money for free and they'll pay you a salary to trade for them and a percentage of the profits you make. So what I would do with a funded account, I have multiple. I have trade copiers. So for example, I have a master account and I'll have maybe 7 or 8 different funded accounts. So don't go for max allocation with one firm. That's stupid. You'd want to have maybe 100K here, 100K there, 100K here, 100K here, 100K here, 100K here, 100K here. Have a copy trader where it's all attached. And then obviously execute on your master account and it's going to obviously enter it in all the accounts. And then let's say you're up 1 or 2%, request a payout, request a payout, request a payout. Obviously on a personal account, that's slightly different. Obviously I've got different personal accounts as well. I've got like my main account where I'm very risky. I'm not very risky on it. I'm more cautious on it because it's my largest in my portfolio. And that's more for just, honestly, more for just kind of compounding and saving and rainy day funds. And obviously I've got like maybe smaller accounts for indices, which I'm a bit more risky on and I can decide to live off them, if that makes sense. But there's no point worrying about funded accounts if you haven't got a 6 to 12 month track record. Like too many people are like, oh, give me a funded account, and they've not even made profits for fucking a year straight. You know what I mean? So it's like, don't fall into that trap of like funded accounts. Remember, when you're actually profitable, people will get on their knees to suck you. I'm not gonna say that. People get on your knees, right, to give you money, bro, when you're profitable. Like, you got to remember that. So don't fall into that hype of these funded accounts. But Kieran, how do you know that? Because I do trading social media and I've got funds in my DM all day long saying white label of us and here's the business model. You know what I mean? So don't fall into that trap of funded accounts. Focus on your skill set, build a track record for 6 to 12 months with hundreds of trades. Once you've got to that point, you can go to a real prop firm where you will do an interview, you will sign contracts, and you'll be hired as an actual contractor, and they'll one, pay you a salary to trade for you, and two, they'll give you a real profit split. And they're looking to help you make money. They're not just saying, oh, pay for a challenge. Come on, mate. That's one of the biggest scams there is. Anyway, back to GU. So on GU, we can see that we've got this larger reaccumulation. And this is all going to be based on the premise, what is happening with the dollar. If we do not see this dollar short narrative come into fruition, do not buy GU. So how I'm looking at this, right, is we've got a massive reaccumulation here. We've now come back into discount of that, and we've come into our reload as well. We can come lower, and we can most definitely build out a larger accumulation. If we look at the duration of our last schematics, right, our last schematics at these lows took around a month to build out, right? Last time was here, it took around what? Like about 2-3 weeks to build out. So how long have we been here? A few days. So for me, how I'm looking at GU, we are in demand, right? So for me, there's two kind of game plans. Either one, this is potentially phase A of a larger schematic, but can we validate a change of character? So we've got a 125 pip pullback versus a 100 pip pullback. But then if we compare it to this one, okay, cool. Yeah, we've got a successful change of character. So we're now in phase A of an accumulation. So this is now our phase A. So if we pull up again, if you don't know what Wyckoff is, phase A, B, C, and D. So now we've got to go through phase B, C, and D. Right. So it's early days on this thing. So basically let it spend time. Again, we already said those price schematics took around what, like 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks to build. We've already got a rough idea of how long this schematic should take, 2-3 weeks maybe. So, here, 1 drive, 2 drive, do something like this, manipulation, sign of strength, and I'll be looking to take a buy on that to then send it to all-time highs. Well, if I say all-time highs, I'll be targeting this 4-hour high, and this will easily give a 1-to-100 if we can get in on that. I mean, again, I'm probably trying to get us on less than a 10 pip stop, maybe a 5 pip stop, to catch about 950 pips on this. But again, don't rush this. We're still early days. Don't get locked. Like this is what traders will do now, right? They won't have that patience to not trade for 2 weeks, and then they're going to come in and start trying to buy and sell all this stuff. Sit out, let the schematics build, and take it. Now, my other game plan is if we end up breaking this. If we end up breaking this can definitely be a larger accumulation with a terminal shakeout. If we break that, I'll look for something like this with a micro to then buy this thing higher. But again, this is all driven by the DXY, and it's only going to move when the dollar moves. So we need to pay attention to our institutional reports that are going to come out. Are they out yet? No, they're not. Rubbish. Actually, wait a minute. Are they out? Let me see. What was I showing you earlier? This was the date of 25/326. 25/326. Oh, wait a minute. No, they're out. Yeah, cool. This is the most recent one. Yeah, so the week before, they did have more shorts. They had 25/27. So last week, they had 25,270 short orders. And this, look at this, chat, look at this. So watch this. Right there. Let me get these up so I can explain for you. Right there. So this is this week. And let's look at last week. Right there. Look at this, boys and girls. So, right, for the short, so look at this. they've removed. So last week they had a net 22,958 long positions. This week they've reduced their long holding by 345 orders. So now they've only got 22,613 orders. So they've got less buy orders and they've added 56 extra sell orders too. Mm. Mm. And now combine that with the fact we're seeing this distro on the dollar. How convenient. How convenient. It's looking very saucy. So my next thing is now is just, do we have that narrative? What is the Fed going to say tonight? If the Fed come out and PCE data comes out, yeah, we're rocking this thing to the moon. If not, then obviously, yeah, we'll probably get back on a short sell. So on GU, basically my game plan is let this build out an accumulation to do that, or break the market cycle, play a micro up in here, and then try getting off that micro. But obviously, it's all going to be based on what the dollar does. Any questions about GU? Do we fund our live from those props? Yeah, for sure. Like I would say your first payout, bro, like at least half of it, just go and spend it on something real. So like, if it's a watch, if it's a statue, it's a bit of gold, doesn't matter. Your first payout, you should always buy something physical that you can see so that you can remind yourself that you've materialized profits and it's something real you can physically hold in your hand. The rest I'll diversify into assets that are going to produce you cash flow or increase your net worth. So where we've got a year left of the bull run and we only have a year left of this bull run before the whole market's going to crash in cryptos, make sure you, like if you're getting payouts now, I'd funnel them payouts into the right crypto coins, cash out at the end of the year and use that to fund the personal account. But yeah, what happens if you make 5% on one trade in a funded account? Will they deny you a payout? It all depends on their rules, bro. Most of them probably will. Some of these funded accounts have rules where it's like so for example, it's a long calculation, but like let's say you've got one trade that made you $100, and then one trade made you $4,000, they'll wipe that 4K trade off your account because it doesn't fit in your range of trades. So you got to try and keep your profits consistent on some accounts, but it all depends on the firm and their individual rules. Fucking Pattaya, mate. Jesus Christ. Don't get me started on that. You gonna put a gold statue of me beside your bed? Jesus. What's one habit outside of trading that had a massive impact to your profitability? Getting educated, brother. Like getting the right education. Because I used to spend hours on the charts every single day. Did we check EU? I used to spend hours on the charts every day and it would do absolutely nothing. So it's getting the right information, bro, and continuing to grow every single day. Like my thing was, I used to spend hours trying to trade and I was spending years trying to be profitable. And I always had this mindset where I will make it. I will be a full-time trader. Like years will pass and I was in the same situation, blowing accounts, losing money. And for me, it was getting in that habit of being teachable and being coachable to my mentors and doing what they was telling me without question, and investing into myself, bro. I invest into myself. I buy courses, I buy mentorships every week of my life. I'm always trying to grow and evolve. So for me, it's staying in that point of evolution. Because when I got to the point where I actually quit my job, this was fucking 2019. My trading went downhill. I had like 3 funded accounts. I lost my funded account and my personal account went in about 15% drawdown. So I was like, what? You know what I mean? I'm a full-time trader, but I've just lost all my fundeds and now I'm in fat drawdown. Like, what's going on? And long story short, I got complacent. I wasn't doing those habits. I wasn't getting educated every single day. I wasn't growing, and I just fell off basically because I wasn't keeping those habits up. So the habits of learning, bro, and the habits of continuing to keep growing. Yeah, how do you get educated now? Well, I do mentorships. I buy courses, bro, of people who have the results I want and who are actually vetted in the industry. Not some random guy. And I make sure that I like listening to them too. But obviously, we obviously have a mentorship program. Right, UJ, what's going on with these guys? Anyone heard any updates with the BOJ recently? Because if I'm not mistaken, last time we heard from the BOJ, it was just the same sort of narrative where, they're not looking to raise rates anytime soon. So how I'm looking at this on UJ right now, Oh, they're doing a stimulus? No, I remember you, Mohammed, right? When I'm back in the day. I remember you, bro. Oh, they actually proved your stimulus. I mean, yeah, they actually proved it. We got the article for that. I mean, it could show off, but it depends what they do with the rates. That's the main thing. Let's see. What did he say in his meeting last week? Hipsa Persia. Speaking of him, I was actually texting him earlier. I'm trying to convince him to come to my event on the 28th of December in central London. Obviously, I already got some guest speakers. I'm on the process of trying to convince him. So if you guys are in London and want to learn from me, my boy Nathan, who's a multiple six-figure trader, full-time, we're going to be doing an event on, there's no fucking sales event either. It's none of that network marketing shit. It's going to be real, like a proper boot camp. So I'm trying to convince him to come. Oh, here we go. Plan seeks to encourage more work and spending. But this is just going to make inflation go through the roof, though. So if they're doing a stimulus, that's actually going to prop up their inflation, and then they're probably going to want to raise rates again. Yeah, we're going to do a boot camp from scratch, bro, 100%. Yeah, we're going to do everything from scratch. We're going to go over everything. So we'll go through the technicals, fundamentals, psychology, and then just have like a kind of a Q&A at the end, and then go grab some food, some shisha after, and yeah, we'll go for everything, bro, 100%. What's this? The principle of well-being. It's not that big. 250 billion dollars sounds a lot to us, but in terms of these markets, like it's not that much. Um, what is saying? What's their monetary policy saying though? That's the most important thing. Um, this is old. This is old, bro. They got no new data on here. I swear the BOJ guy had a meeting last week. Where is he? Yeah, he did. I was talking about the rates. Yeah, I'm going to follow the same narrative on this, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, this is our last reaccumulation that maintains the market cycle, but I'm kind of looking at this as potential a larger type 4 distro. So my game plan is that if they accumulate in here, I'll buy it. But I think it makes more sense to get a larger shakeout at this point to kind of do something like this and then kind of see what we want to do after this point. So get this shakeout and then see if we can get in the reaccum to send this thing higher. That's kind of how I want to play this. Let's look at it. BOJ rate hikes. Because I mean, they was talking about raising rates. And obviously, they did raise rates. When they raised rates, that was what caused this boost. But obviously, what happened last time the BOJ raised rates is it crashed their stock market, right? It absolutely crashed their stock market. So when it crashed their stock market, there was like, oh, I'm very hesitant to trade. And then, oh, sorry, I'm very hesitant to keep raising rates because it crashed their stock market. And once it crashed their stock market, they were like, nope, we're not raising rates, we're holding rates, and that was why UJ appreciated. So if they're back on track to raising rates, yeah, this thing is probably going to sell off then. Um, let's see. If they're back on raising rates, then yeah, then 100% this thing can short off. And obviously, if the dollar's going to short off, that would help this go lower too. No, I haven't done ayahuasca. Um, I've done psychedelics and stuff. But yeah, this is definitely looking like a larger Type 4 distro. I would be mindful that we could get a shakeout on this, like a 1 drive, 2 drive UTAD, and then Type 4. But this is not really on the highest priority list this week. I mean, we'll watch for a micro in here, but like honestly, if they're going to keep raising rates, then this thing's probably going to break all of this. I don't want to be that aggressive in here. So can I analyze gold? Everyone's so obsessed with gold, man. Tell me what's going on from a fundamental standpoint of what is driving the price of gold. What's going on with gold right now? What is the fundamental reason for me to look at the chart? Apart from it moves fast and you want to trade it in the nicest way. What is the fundamental reason to look at gold? Like if I'm looking at, for example, the Nasdaq, I know what's going on with the earnings reports. I know what's going on with the monetary policy, that they're stimulating the economy to obviously raise the price of it. What drives gold? Apart from the fact it's being treated by a commodity. You know what I mean? Like we can't just look at a technical analysis. That's ambiguous. We need a reason why the chart would go up or a reason why the chart would go down. So what's the correlation with the DXY and gold? So what's the correlation with the dollar and the gold? We can check it for sure. Um, what's you chef doing? Um, what is you chef doing? I want to be mindful that if this thing doesn't build out a larger accumulation, I'm not getting in on this. Not too sure, but all I trade is gold and used to trade it for 7 years, so used to the volatility. Okay. So it's the thing though, like my thing is like I don't want to get attached to a market. My thing is like, can I build a case like a lawyer, you know? So for me to look at a pair, I need to know what's going on with the economics and the fundamentals and why larger investors, because we all know that's the only reason the market moves, right? Because bigger fish, bigger whales. So why would they want to accumulate this or distribute this right now? And then that will tell me if I'm bullish or bearish. And if I can't determine that, that's already putting the probability on my favor lower and lower and lower. So why would I want to now trade something that's lower probable? I mean, gold is worth more than USD, and the price of gold is always going to go up. So always going to go up, right? So let's go on that basis. So it's always going to go up. What time frame are we talking about? I mean, if you're obviously if we're talking about a macro time frame of a decade, okay, I'm with you. But we can't just apply not that narrative, because then why was this selling off for, for 20 years? You know, why was this selling off for 1,555 days? I agree with you. Like, obviously supply and demand, but like this is what I'm saying. What's the reason for this? Now, what's the reason? Like, why are people buying gold right now? I mean, how I look at this thing is just broken the market cycle. It's invalidated demand. And this thing will probably come lower. Yeah, I mean, if this thing can confirm a redistribution, probably look for shorts, sending this thing down. But okay, but why though? Like, why would it pull back? That's what I'm saying. Why would people who are investing in gold take profit right now? What's the fundamental reason for that to occur? I don't know. It's why I don't trade gold too much. You know, like again, trading for me is about like it's not about being right or wrong. Sell high, but what's high? This is the thing. Like this is not like how we need a repeatable process, right? If we want consistent profits, we need a consistent approach. So, what defines high? Because this was high, this was high, this was high, this was high. But this is what I'm saying is this is subjective. Like, what's the reason? You know what I'm saying? Where prices touched before, we're at all-time highs. Prices not touched anywhere before. You know what I mean? So this is the thing, man. Like, if I need a fundamental reason to trade this, and like, I don't know what the fundamental reason is driving this right now. So if I'm doing that, that's already a con on my list. As a professional trader, I don't care about making money. I care about protecting my capital and minimizing my exposure to risk. Right? When you start making more money, you want to protect your money. You don't want to, get rid of it all the time. So for me, what is driving gold right now from a fundamental basis? What is the reason that investors all around the world are selling their gold bars right now? I don't know. So for me, the only thing I can think of is that we are in quantitative easing, which means the Federal Reserve is stimulating the economy and trying to promote spending and investment because they're lowering interest rates, which can drive the price of commodities and assets up. So now when I look at the chart, all right, well, I've just invalidated demand. So the only thing that really gets me in a trade for this that supports the minor fundamentals I know on gold, and again, I'd rather trade something I know, like the S&P, where we had 3 disgusting entries last week on it. All right, I'd rather wait for it to confirm a reaccum and then get an offer mitigation. I need that repeatable process. And the next level of demand is where here, this reaccumulation, and it's already been mitigated, so that's going to lower the favor on it. So I can look at silver. I mean, silver looks better. I'd rather trade silver. I mean, silver's coming into demand. If we're just going off that quantitative easing narrative, then sure, maybe we can play an accumulation on this. But for me, I don't have much of a hype on metals. You know, like, I'm not trying to call anyone out, but I found from experience the people who are obsessed with gold don't tend to make too much money. But obviously, everyone can be different. That's just my personal experience from the people that I've had conversations with. Like for me, I want to trade something that I have the highest probability of trading, which is my main focus this week, which is US equities. You know, if I know what's driving these, the institution, like if I can physically see that, for example, on the Nasdaq, US 30, SPX, I can physically see institutional orders and that they're actually adding this in. I can look at the earnings reports of these companies that make up the US 30, the NAS, right? And ES. And I know that, okay, earnings are going higher. I know that we're in quantitative easing where the Fed wants people to be investing right now because lowering interest rates, earnings are up, and I can see institutional orders up. Without even looking at market structure or any chart, I know I should be buying US equities without even looking at the chart. So now I can build a case and look at the facts of the market. Now I can start looking at my market cycles and my price cycles. Now I can apply technicals because I've got a reason to look for a bullish trend. Does that make sense? Like, you know, people be like, okay, it's in the uptrend, but okay, why? Why is it in an uptrend? You know, because if, for example, let's say we're looking at, for example, even these, right? Okay, let's say we go back here, right? Oh, we're in a downtrend now on a 5 minute or 3 minute time frame. All right, cool, sure, we can be in a time for a bearish trend on here, but why? Are we taking profit or are we reversing the market? You know, and for me, if I'm taking profit, I'm not going to be trying to sell that. I'd rather just wait for the buys. So for me on US 30 this week, we are in an active distribution up here. So I'll probably wait for it to sweep the high, give that distribution with some profit taken, and then wait for it to come back down to a discount to accumulate this thing and send it higher. That's my thing on this. You know, I'm seeing institutions continuing to add more orders. Let's check. The data just come out. We know the earnings are up. Let's see. Let's see the Dow Jones. Yep, they're net long. You know, institutions are net long on the Dow. All right, they're net long. I mean, they've removed a few long positions, so maybe they're starting to take some profit. And that's why we're starting to see a distribution form, but they're still net long. So for me, all right, can I send this thing back into demand to then send it higher? So I'm going to be waiting for an accumulation here, or preferably down here. So what's my game? Obviously, you can't trade this now because it's physically not even open. The New York Stock Exchange is not even open yet. So give it a 2:30 p.m. UK time and we can maybe look for this. So we're in a distro. The only thing that gets me to buy this is if we do a shakeout at the open and confirm a reaccum like that. But I don't think that's going to happen today. It's still early in the week. It's still Tuesday. So I think we'll maybe see this later on in the week on a higher volume day. Because again, Monday, Tuesdays are lower liquidity days. Let's wait for like Wednesday. Would you short US 30 down? I mean, again, what's like, no. There's the answer, bro. What's the reason for sellers to come in this market? I mean, look at every attempt that sellers tried to come in on US 30 for the last few years. You know, they tried to distribute it, boom, lost. Tried to distribute it, and they just kept reaccumulating. You know, for me, is it worth trying to catch these crumbs in the market because I want to take a trade, or should I just be patient and wait for a high probable trade? Like, I don't want extra work for myself. You know, trading is a job at the end of the day. It does take time to journal, to manage your trades, risk equity on your account, emotional attention to pay attention. So why would I create extra work for myself? It's like, Hayden, let me ask you this. If your boss called you up and said, hey, bro, can you come into work today? Okay, but I'm only going to pay you half for the same amount of work you usually do. What are you going to say? You want half pay? No, that's it, right? So we don't work for half pay. So for me, right, if I can look at, for example, institutional orders and see that, all right, they actually are adding sell positions now, and we're going into quantitative tightening. All right, bet, cool, I'll start to short this. Now, here's a difference. Am I in buys across equities? Yes, I'm in buys on the NAS, I'm in buys on ES too. So can I look to short these for a hedge to protect my capital on the buys? Yes, because I'm hedging. There's a difference. So if you're in buys, okay, now you can be open to shorts. But for me, there's no reason for this. I mean, I think even on US 30, bro, like we're not even at the target. I mean, are we? Let's check. Did we even hit our fib extension? So we went from, did we hit our extension? No, we didn't. So this has got room to come higher. This could go to about 45.4. So we got room on this. I mean, what's even the measured move like? Yeah, I mean, we got room for this, bro. This could easily keep going. These things will probably reaccumulate, I think, this week. So yeah, I mean, for this, sweep the liquidity, play a reaccum. I mean, even in my journal, bro, like, you know, I've been doing this now. Well, I've been trading for like fucking 8 years, but full-time trading now coming up 6. So when I look at my data and my trades over that period of time, for me, can I make profit counter trend trading? Sure. But do I make as much much money counter trend trading as trading with a trend? No. So I'm not going to be super aggressive trying to trade against a trend. You know, that's why I don't work for half pay. You know, so yeah, that's how I'm looking at US 30. Give a shakeout at the New York Stock Exchange Open and then try look for a buy. NAS, same thing. I'm going to be open on NAS. We can see a larger shakeout, right? So something like that. Sweep that liquidity. But if we do break this distribution, I'll just follow the market cycle up and take more buys. So I'm going to look for what's going on with the NAS. There should still be more buyer positions being added to it. What's going on? 66,000. Where are they? 66,681. Oh, okay. They've removed some buy positions from last week. Might be some profit taking coming soon. But if we do see something like that, maybe we could get on a micro, but I'd rather it shake out this trend line first. Institutional candles. I mean, so like it's not an institutional candle is why the market works. It's a Wyckoff schematic. So if we look at Wyckoff, for example, you got an accumulation here. If we look on the daily, where is it? We look on the 4 hour, maybe we've got that institutional candle. You know, maybe look on like an 8 hour. All right, you got your institutional candle. But if that's the least important part. What's important is the effort and the intention and the result that goes into manifesting before that. So don't just worry about, oh, an institutional candle, because that you're going to get smacked, right? What you want to pay attention to is what happens before the institutional candle. So for example, we know that's that sell to buy, right? That was the institutional candle on the 4 hour. The most important part is the lead up and the build up of how institutions were accumulating and filling their orders before that. Like if you're looking at institutional candles and they're not working, it's because you're not validating the schematic correctly. But yeah, so on ES as well, I'm still going to be holding these to all-time highs, take my next partials. So the question is, and obviously, you know, you guys all caught this in the chat, but I'm going to look for a reaccum on this. I mean, I might be a little bit more aggressive with this today at the open, just because I'm in trades. But I think the safest play is wait for that reaccum and then play the mitigation higher. We don't have obviously any Asia manipulation on this. So maybe what we do is we come down at the open, we sweep the Asia low, and we get a micro in there and go higher. Yeah. If it's not working most of the time, bro, it's because you're not validating what's happening before. Like, just the easiest answer I'll give you is this, right? A single high and low in the market doesn't mean anything because there's not money spent behind that, right? But when you have, like, for example, a single low is getting swept, right? But when price is spending time, right? Effort is going into it before that, you'll have a lot more success taking those trades. So yeah, that's how I'm going to try and play in equities this week. I'm going to try and look for maybe a sweep below the Asia and a micro down here. And if I get that, I'll be all over. Yes, do that. Now, this thing can still come lower. And I would like this too. It still can come mitigate this demand and sweep that trend line. So I would much rather it come down to like 59.60 and accumulate down here. That would make the most sense. So I'm going to set an alert below Asia lows. Excuse me. Set an alert below Asia lows and see kind of what we do around this region. If we can get a micro down here at the open, which is an hour and a half, sure, I'll get involved. But I mean, we had a great week last week, so I'm not too aggressive on these. What's Bitcoin doing? Bitcoin is shaking out all the noobs right now who got in when CME hit 100K. So the question is, can we dip down to 86K, reaccumulate, and do something like that? That's or 84K. That's how I want to play. We know we hit our 1.618 fib extension. So it makes sense now for a bit of profit taking. And again, like how many people are buying crypto right now? All these people are at a loss. Let's short it out and reaccumulate. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I'd love this thing to pump 100%, but I want the loss. You do outlook on crypto. This is it. What do you want to know? This is it. There you go. Sell it. Wait for it to crack those lows, and then if it reaccumulates, buy it. I mean, we've obviously we got the 4-year cycle, right? So, we have 3-year bull markets, 1-year bear markets. We've been bullish for the last 2 years. So we've got about, and look at when the highs, and look, we always print off December, November, all right? We've still got another year. So next year, November, December will be the end of the bull market. So we've still got time. I mean, I'm still looking at this thing to crack, at least multiple 6 figures, 200K, about $250,000 per coin. And then a fat crash all the way back down to fucking 40, 50K. Yeah, I know Sean Lee, bro. We talk from time to time. What? How come you bring him up? He's a good guy. I'm trying to get him to come back to Phuket, bro. He's in fucking Vietnam right now. EG. What you got in here, bro? So you're trying to sell it? So yeah, I mean, just for back on cryptos. I mean, yeah, like I'm waiting for the shakeout. That's it. I mean, it's a possibility that we can come all the way back down to 70, even 60. I think that's a bit reaching though, to be honest with you. Like I think where we are in the macro bull run, we're basically here. So we've got all this to come. Don't worry, we still got a bull run. But I think we just need to shake out all these weak hands right now. And we're looking heavy on the daily. Also, Jim Cramer, what's Jim Cramer say? He was talking about buying Bitcoin, so it's time to sell. So my thing is just take out all the liquidity and then send it. Yeah, I mean, alts are, so if we took at alts is definitely just disconfirmed the distro. So I think ETH can rally back here. But obviously, if we're looking at alts, we need to look at BTC dominance. So yeah, we just broke. This is all just order flow though, so this doesn't really hold any weight, to be honest with you. Yeah, I mean, we can still come higher on this. But my thing is, are we either gonna, let's go to the hourly, because obviously when Bitcoin dominance goes down, altcoins will go up, and that's where we want to make our money. So my thing is, can we either do that and do that, or are we going to create a distro in here to send it? My favorite chart though is looking at ETH BTC, because we are right in demand right now, some diddly demand. It's a possibility that we can come down here, but let's see the volume on this. The only thing is volume is not picking up. I mean, we do have a little accumulation on here, down here. We did come in and, let me delete some of these colors. We did have a nice little accumulation on ETH BTC, and basically when this chart goes up, your alts will go up. So we got an accum, it's looking good. We are coming into supply though, so maybe we can get a small little rally and we'll see what we do. Hopefully we can reaccumulate. It makes sense. We are coming into alt season, quantitative easing, so it makes sense. But again, it's got to create those if then scenarios, man. We can't predict. You've got to create if then scenarios. So if we distribute out of here, yeah, alts are going to die. If we obviously break that and confirm the reaccum, then yeah. What do you mean by alt season? Alt season is basically when money flows out of Bitcoin and into altcoins, alternative cryptos. Will I upload this? I'm not sure. I might put it on YouTube. Do you want me to? Obviously, I don't post too much of these because this is like one of our calls I do in my community every week. So we normally just keep it quite private. But maybe. So, I mean, what else we got? Hayden said about Euro GBP. We'll check that in one sec, bro. So yeah, UChef, I think maybe he's in a 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive. We can get a push up, a sweep, and something like that later in the week. I'll look to buy it. But I'm going to be very mindful that this thing can give us the mother of all sales soon, because we are coming up to higher time frame supply. So if we break this, I'm going to be shorting UChef down, and that's based on what the Swissy is doing as well. Like if you take a look at the Swissy, all right, where are we on the Swissy? Where are we on the Swissy? Where are we on the Swissy? So where are we? So let's see what the Swiss rank futures. This is the same chart as UChef basically. So yeah, we'll see. I just wanted to check if this low was broke. All right, let's check Euro GBP then, bro. So where are we? So we came up to supply, we distributed, we broke the market cycle. We're now coming into the 80. I don't like that volume in there. Let's see. Can we validate this? We can. So we're building out a trading range. Again, EG is not the highest priority on my watch list because we're trading two highly correlated currencies. 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive manipulations, a micro up in there. Sure, I mean, we can break that. Sure, we can look for a micro in there and sell it off. So yeah, I'll pop an alert on this low, but EG is not the highest priorities right now. Can we see any institutional data? Not here. I have to go hunt for it. No limits, no limits because we're trading two highly correlated currencies, bro. I mean, we are coming up to the extreme. It depends what would be the risk to reward. It's not valid yet. It needs to break here. Let's see. Not bad. Yeah, I don't like this volume in here, bro. Look at that absorption in there. I don't think I want to set a limit on this. I want to wait for a micro. Look at that. That is the highest volume we've had on Euro GBP in so fucking long. So I wouldn't be surprised if this thing reaccumulates. Honestly, I wouldn't even be surprised if this thing reaccumulates. So this is on the lowest form on my watch list. Yeah, bro, we got videos on absorption. Just type it in the chat, in the private chat. Type in absorption, and you should be able to find it. Exactly, man. Like all that volume. Why don't we just break this little pathetic low? Okay, maybe we need to create liquidity to come up higher, but there's a lot of effort in that accumulation, man. I mean, again, if we're seeing dollar bearish and Euro GBP, Euro and GBP going higher, this thing can easily come a lot higher, man. I mean, let's even look at this from a higher time frame perspective. What if 1 drive, 2 drive, 3 drive, spring test? What if that is an accumulation? It's looking like one. But yeah, it can definitely come up here. I mean, I'll be honest, bro, like Euro GBP is not the highest thing on my watch list. If it does break that and give a micro, I'll entertain it. But yeah, this is pretty low priority, bro. I'll be honest with you. Yeah, bro. We do go over the volume. We'll go seek and find. Yeah, just literally just go on the Telegram, bro. Just search Zor. Oh god, I got that. Remember how I spelled it? Yeah, just go in there and search. You should find it, bro. If not, let me know, and I'll try and find it for you. Right, UCAD. So she confirmed the reaccum. So it's basically just walk this thing up, man. Canadian dollar's getting a beating right now. So let's walk this thing up. Let's walk this thing up. Can I go over the UST? Yeah, so I mean, I did get into a small position on UCAD off this little micro, but she did end up taking me out at reduced risk. So again, like for me, I already knew this was a very aggressive entry because we wasn't buying at a discount and we just had a minor break of order flow. So for me, I reduced the risk I was throwing in my entry to half because we can come lower. And I was very aggressive with my trade management and very quick to go break even. So when she then come into our Frankfurt sweep that caused the break of this order flow, basically I wanted to see it give a micro, bro. And it came down here. She gave a nice little micro. All right. One drive, two drive, three drive, four drive, spring, break, and just wiggling off the 50, bro. Stop loss below. Oops, I just moved my fib. So it ends up wiggling in off the 50. Stop loss below the low. She then reaccumulated, obviously then came into supply. So at that point, obviously I went reduced risk, paid myself a very small amount of the trade, and then she just said, nope. And this is what happens, man. Sometimes, you're not going to win all of them. Obviously, the fundamentals were right. That's why it went up. But yeah, paid myself. So it wasn't actually a loss on paper. Still net profited like 0.01%, but is what it is. Cool. So I'm looking for buys this week. I mean, if she ends up reaccumulating, so if she ends up breaking this high and confirming a reaccum, I will get into that for a buy. So I'm just going to trap price, set an alert at the high, set an alert at the 50, and then walk away. That's it, bro. Cool. What else we got? A bit of a UJ, U-Chef. Metals are trash. GJ, trash. Rather trade UJ. I mean, the only thing I think on my potential radar is if UJ does give a micro in here, but I'm not going to be too aggressive on this. For today and U-Chef really, man. I think U-Chef's in phase B of an accumulation. So it needs to build out a bit more. Um, mm, 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 mm. Yeah, that's it, really, man. I mean, everything else is just like there's no point me trying to trade GJ. I'd rather trade UJ. There's no point me trading GCAD. I'd rather trade UCAD. Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good on these. I'm stick to UCAD. Or maybe if GCAD gives a reaccum, I can get in on this. So maybe we can pop that, come into here, accumulate, and then start reaccumulating. We can get in on this. But this ain't a play for today. EuroCAD, same thing. Pop that, come back down and send it higher, but this ain't happening today. This will probably happen like Thursday. CAD trash. Yeah, I mean, this is mainly it, man. Just for you, Chef, right now. Wait for it to accumulate. GU. And either wait for that larger accum or confirm the reaccum. UJ, see if it accumes in here. EU, wait for the see if it can confirm the larger accum because based on what dollar does, that's what I really want to see. If dollar can give us this, confirm the distro. Like for me, I'm not going to buy an active distribution. Could it do that? Sure. Can a broken clock be right twice a day? Sure. For me, I follow data. I don't buy active distros. So if it does, it confirms distro and then reaccumulates. Cool. But obviously, like we said at the start, it all depends what the Fed are going to do. Any pairs from last week? Yeah, bro. I mean, obviously, look at the chat. We had the GU trade on Tuesday. Now, if you just check my private channel, bro, the one I just talking, you'll see all the before and afters that I was telling you guys about. But yeah, GU had some nice trades last week. This is all based on a dollar. But yeah, on Tuesday there was a beautiful short 1 to 23 and a 1 to well, I didn't take the full 1 to 70 because obviously it came down to here. So I took my partials around the 80, which were like a 1 to 50 and a 1 to 16. And then we obviously had this one, which was the bang, which was a nice little 1 to 30. And this was on Tuesday, and these were on Wednesday. And if you guys want, let me know. I can break them down, or we can go through the indice plays. The second one was fantastic. Yeah, bro. Are you caught this, Nathan? We have to unmute you. What are you looking at, Nathan? You got anything you want to share? If you guys don't know, this is my boy Nathan. I don't know if you're free right now, but this is going to be one of our co-speakers at our event on the 28th of December. Obviously, Nathan is a fantastic trader, bro. How long have you been trading full time now?
I'm making a full-time income now since just around like COVID time, just before COVID.
Damn. So what? For almost 5 years now, right?
Yeah, coming up now still. So yeah, man,
Sheesh.
it's been lit. But let me be real with you guys though. Same time, like it hasn't been without its challenges, of course. Do you know what I mean? It's always going to be a challenge when you're going, you're veering away from the status quo. Do you know what I mean? Like, we've always been taught work, go to school, go to college, go to wherever, and then just confirm your speaking language. Pretty sure speaking English, but hold on, let me. All right, cool. Yeah, it's wicked. So, what was I saying? Yeah, so we've been taught from young, you gotta go to school, go to college, go to work, or go uni, go work, rah rah. So, it took a lot of courage, took a lot of hard work, a lot of summers with the curtains down, with my hood on, just going through the charts, So, but yeah, obviously, lo and behold, we've been able to, you know what I mean, make a little piece of change. Unless the tax man's watching, then yeah. If someone could borrow me £5, that would be amazing. But what's it called? Yeah. So far, I'm looking at exactly what you're looking at, just Chef and UJ.
Is there
Just looking
anything
at
do you wanna share your screen or
yeah.
let me make you co-host, bro? And obviously, you guys don't know Nathan. He will be speaking at our event in Central London on the 28th of December. So definitely make sure if you haven't got a ticket yet, send me a message after this, either on my Instagram or on Telegram, and we'll get you a ticket because we're going to go through a full boot camp. You guys are going to walk out from that event with an exact step-by-step game plan to one, start taking trades like this, but two, exactly how to quit your job and how to manage your money from it. And then after, maybe go for a bit of dinner or something. We'll see. But make sure you're there, man, 28th of December.
Yeah, definitely. Let me just share my screen. Yeah, so very similar to yourself. Like obviously, I mean, looking at USD CHF from this morning, I kind of want to just see. I think it's exactly the same as what you've got, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just come down to the 5 minute. Yeah, so obviously, I've been looking at, we had an accumulation down here. Hold on, let me go over here. Where's my box at? So yeah, obviously accumulated down here. Got your reaccumes, obviously. So now I'm just waiting to see if price can give me something inside of here, Obviously, you've got your one drive, two drives. Obviously, Kieran goes through all this stuff all the time, how to validate all this stuff. So I'm gonna save the real, do you know what I mean? My real chatting's for the 28th. So yeah, you lot definitely stay tuned on that one. But yeah, obviously I'm hoping that we can see something inside of here. Well, I say I'm hoping. I've got a bit of a busy day in regards to like my perfume company as well. So I'm kind of just gonna be in and out of the charts today. But we can get that followed by final manipulation. Give us that break. Yeah, that's gonna be lit, man. And obviously UJ, same thing, my bro. Like obviously, I'm not really holding my breath for this, if I'm being honest, especially if I know obviously the yen is driving this, but with the weakness that may potentially be coming from the dollar, I'm not really holding my breath too much on this. We can always potentially come a lot lower as well. So yeah, that's really what I'm looking at. I'll be lying if I said I marked up all of my charts for this week so far. Yeah, my daughter's been Yeah, last night she woke up like 4 times. So yeah, I'm lacking on sleep right now. So just playing catch up right now. But outside of that, bro, yeah, like yeah, there ain't really nothing else I'm really looking at as of current. But by the time I finish this afternoon, with all the chart stuff, then yeah, I'll have a lot more stuff looking at. But do you know what? I'll be honest though, I don't really usually tend to be so aggressive. Like Monday, I didn't even open my chart yesterday. I'll be honest. I was so busy running around for stuff. So yeah, but obviously today I've been a little bit more active. But I usually tend to find that my entries come Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I don't know why, just due to my date of Thursday in particular. I think we even spoke about this on one of our last calls, but I make the most of my money on Thursdays. It's ever since I've been trading, bro. It's always been a similar sort of thing. So yeah, my bro. But that's basically it from me. What I will say though, just on top real quick before I do let you guys go, is this. I know Kieran's mentioned it earlier. Listen, 28th of December. Yeah, you lot do not miss out on that. I don't know if you've got your tickets yet, you're waiting for payday, whatever you're waiting for. Listen, please, if you know what's good for you, do not miss out on this event. You know, this year's coming up to an end. I think we've got like 35 days or 36 days of less of this year. So finish the year strong, man. Do you know what I mean? There's going to be a lot of people there that you guys can learn from, network with. Do you know what I mean? You know, and I noticed what I was listening to something a few days ago, and most people, like when you look at people's major, you know, financial events where they made a lot of money, it was less of a what event in terms of what they did and more of a who it was that they met. You know, I met Kieran a little while back in IML, you know, and yes, IML was a little oh, let me not even do too much talking on that one right now. We'll talk about it properly on the 28th. But you know, had I not met Kieran, had I not met, you know, other people, who knows if I'd be where I am right now. Do you know what I mean? You know, so yeah, like it's more of a who event. So come in, network, you know, all of that good stuff, and come and learn. Make sure you come with your notepad, pen, me, myself, Kieran, obviously Kieran, whoever Kieran's got on the line. I know Kieran's got a few tricks up his sleeve, so you know I've got a lot of faith in bro, obviously. But yeah, man, just come, learn, network, all of that good stuff. It's going to be lit. It's the 28th, man. Don't miss it.
So, and of course, like this ain't going to be one of those sales events. This ain't going to be like, oh, come and buy the course, or like a network marketing event where they're trying to make you pick up the phone and fucking call people. Like, no, we're going to go through real trading. What helped me? What helped Nathan? We're going to go for an exact boot camp. So we're going to go through the entire trading plan from a technical standpoint, fundamental standpoint, psychological mindset standpoint, so that you can keep the money you make, and then obviously how to like continue to grow as a trader. So you'll be able to walk out from that event with an exact step-by-step plan. But in terms of me as well, like from the market outlet side of things, I've got nothing else really to look at. Like obviously Nathan obviously backed it as well, USD Chef, um, maybe for the buys, if we can give that accumulation, where are we? But again, it is early in the week, you find that obviously on these times of the week, it's not, there's no need to be too aggressive. Obviously GU, will keep an eye out if this is going to be a larger accumulation or not. Again, it all depends on, the FOMC. So keep your eyes on the news that's going to come out to later today. For me, this is 2 a.m., so I'm probably going to stay awake for this. And then we've got obviously PCE tomorrow as well, New York session. So, I mean, what I'll do is give you guys some time to answer questions, or if you guys want me to go through like a breakdown on the USD, the SPX trades we caught last week, we can obviously go through them. Or if anyone's got questions, please let us know now what they are. It can be for me, it can be for Nathan, whatever, or yourself, of course. But if not, we'll call it a day. Anyone got any questions? Anything you're struggling with? Anything you need help with? Any trades or charts you want us to look at? Any feedback you want on a loss? What do you think about GBP Chef? So GBP Chef, it's on my. If you want the rude answer, it's on my fuck you list. Just because, like, what is it? What's it doing, bro? Like, what has GBP Chef done in the last, 100 days, bro? It's done nothing. It's just going sideways. If I'm trading this, for me, this is a little bit more driven by Swiss franc, and I would rather just trade USD Swiss because this is the Swiss franc futures, basically. So I'd rather just trade USD Chef, bro, which is a little bit clearer for me right now. And obviously, if this thing breaks, by the way, then like I'm going to be trying to short this thing because of the higher time frame. I'm only looking for these buys because I'm hedged in. I'm taking a short we called on Zoom. Fuck me, this is ages ago. But yeah, so like I said, I'm gonna see if we can see those signs of buyers come in this week. If not, I'm honestly gonna get back on the short side of things. So if we end up doing this, where are we? So if we end up doing that, I'm not gonna sell the distribution because it could easily reaccumulate. I'd wait for it to distribute, I'd wait for it to redistribute, and I'd get in on the redistributions down. Oh, you just booked your ticket for the 28th? Sheesh, let's go, man. It's gonna be crazy, Tom. I'm so excited to see you, man. It's crazy because I didn't even expect this to be a thing that loads of people were gonna come from. Like, I remember we did a call, where was it? On Sunday. It was like, all right, cool, maybe just a few people, 5 of you, 10 of you want to come. And then fucking all of a sudden I put some tickets on to get a venue to use Sirius and we just sold out all the tickets. I was like, what? What's going on? And obviously now we just upgraded and added more seats. So let me see how many of the seats we've sold out on. Obviously, the reason there is a price, guys, is because, let's be honest, like I'm teaching you guys, so we need to cover the venue. You know what I mean? I'm not going to pay for the venue out of my pocket. Right now, we have 70% of the tickets sold. Fucking hell. We'll also do some giveaways as well there too. So yeah, the location will be in central London. The exact location, the exact postcode, and the address will be dropped closer to the event, just in case we have to get a bigger event. Because I had one locked in for us, and then obviously you guys were like, "I'm coming," so I was like, "Oh no, I gotta get a bigger event." So yeah, obviously if even more people come, we need another event. But it will definitely be central London. It shouldn't be too far from Victoria Station. Unless Nathan, any other good central London stations. I think Victoria is pretty good as a central hub, or maybe London Bridge.
Yeah. I was even gonna say London Bridge. London Bridge is pretty central, and obviously all the lines run from there, and so yeah. But Victoria Central. I mean, all of you guys that have already booked your ticket, you lot are serious anyway. So the man, we would do it underground. You lot will find a way to get there. Do you know what I mean? So, so yeah.
Yo, we got people flying in, bro. We got people flying in from Lithuania. I was checking the map, bro. We got people literally all over Europe coming in. I'm like, rah, you lot want this?
That's bro, honestly.
What I'm gonna do, guys, if you guys want to join, what I'm gonna do is we've created we've created a group chat for the event, so all the notifications are in there. I am gonna do a couple private Zooms for obviously the mastermind. So if you guys want, I'll just put the link here in the chat. Obviously, if Nathan invited you, make sure you get a specific link off Nathan. He'll give you a specific link for the event. But this link here is for the group chat. So you'll be able to join our group chat. And then the pin message is the obviously the one for the actual tickets as well. Again, like I said at the event, we're going to do a full boot camp. So we're literally going to give you everything we know. And then from there, obviously a Q&A. So yeah, make sure yeah, you guys want to hop in, you can get the tickets from there. So anyone got any other questions then? Is there any member from the Chinese? Do we have any Chinese in here? Anyone from China here? I know I've got some English Chinese people, but I'm not sure like Chinese. Bro said he's profitable with you're profitable with a lower risk reward, like 1 to 2, 1 to 3. Do I stick to it and try to aim for a higher risk reward and change my strategy? You have a 82% hit rate currently. Okay, so let me ask you this. With 141 trades you took, how long did it take you to take those trades? How much time did you spend journaling those trades? How much time did you spend like managing those trades? And how much percent did you profit? Because my thing is trading, it's not about what's my win rate. It's about what is my time, my input versus my output. Like for me, you might be different. For me, learning this way allows me to spend less time on the chart, spend less time trading, less time journaling, and make more money. So for me, that was why I traded this way. You can be profitable with lower risk rewards. It's completely fine. Like you don't have to trade the way I trade. You can be profitable with any system. It's just that does the system make sense for you? And with that system you're using, the return on investment, like your return on time. If you're taking trades every single day, you're risking equity on your account every single day. You're opening up yourself to slippage every single day. You're spending spreads and commissions every single day. You're spending time journaling, spending time researching. If you got to do all that to make 2% a week, is it really worth it? I can get a job at McDonald's to probably pay me more, Or can I, like for me, it made more sense where I can take 1 or 2 trades a week and catch a 1 to 20, catch a 1 to 30. In some cases, catch a one to maybe a bigger one. And for me, it's like less effort, more reward. So that made more sense for me, bro. Oh, Vishal, what's happening, man? I'm like, big up, bro. What's happening, bro? Yeah, take care, Harry. We got some Taiwanese in here. What's happening? Yeah. What's the win rate, bro? So my win rate completely varies on the account I'm trading because I have different accounts with different risk appetites. Again, like meaning what? So I have some accounts which are maybe a little bit smaller, which I'll be a lot more risky and a lot more aggressive on. Naturally, on them, I'm going to have a slightly lower win rate. If I have my main personal account where I only swing trade on it, I'm sitting between. I think last time I checked. Let me check. So if we're going for my personal account, which I probably take one or two trades a month on, where are we? 72% on my personal account. If it's a funded account, I can open it and really check if you want. But normally my funded account sit around like maybe the 60% side, if I'm being honest with you. And obviously, if it's a really aggressive account, it might be a little bit lower. But again, like I have different accounts for different risk profiles because I got different objectives on them. You know, like my main personal account, my objective is not to make money. My objective is to keep my money and protect it. You know, that's its capital preservation. Versus if it's a 100K funded account, I don't give a fuck, bro. I'll turn that up. You know what I mean? So naturally, I'll probably lose a few more trades on that. So it all comes down to risk appetite, you know. And again, like if that confuses you and you're like, oh, how do I know how much to risk? Well, this is where you got to develop as a trader. Like if you're still in your foot, like so for me, I had my one main account, right, which was I'm going to be trading normal, keeping it profitable, keeping it not too aggressive, and just trading normal risk, normal, not too aggressive, not too safe, just nice and normal. And then eventually, once I built my track record with that and got my payouts and actually built a funded account, now it was like, I'm going to start trading US equities on one account. Now I'm going to have other funded accounts. Now I'm getting payouts. Now I've got these funded accounts. Now I've got these funded accounts. I can use them for different ways. Versus if you're like, I've only got one funded account, you're not going to want to be aggressive on it. You know what I'm saying? Um, yeah. What? Yeah. Makes sense. Yeah, got you, man. You're not Asian, but I love following the market cycle until I'm proven wrong. That's it, man. Follow the market cycle until it's proven wrong. You watch Pips of Persia more than 8 times, and I really feel the missing piece out of it. Yeah, man. That'd be good. We'd love to have you in the mentorship, man. Bro, like that's it. Journal it, bro. The unexamined life is a life not worth living. Like, bro, I keep look at my journal, bro. Like, where is it? It's in this drawer. All right, look at this. Look how much I use this thing, bro. I don't know if you guys can see this. This thing is falling apart, bro, because I journaled that fucking much. And the reason why is because trading is all about quality over quantity, you know? Like because in a job, it's quantity, right? In a job, it's the more you do, the more you get paid, right? If you work more hours, the more you make. Trading's leverage, meaning it's taking less trades that are higher quality on higher capital. You see the difference? So for me, if I'm taking like I used to have a problem with over trading, and I used to take so many fucking trades, bro. Like sorry for my language, yeah, but bro, I would take, I swear to God, like 20, 30, 40 trades a week. Like it was insane. And for me to slow myself down, journaling stopped me from taking other trades because it was a consequence. It was like, all right, if I'm taking this trade, I got to go and spend 25 minutes journaling this trade. So if I've taken 10 trades, that's 200. You know what I mean? That's a long time to journal. And I don't want to journal. I hate it. It's boring. It's long. I don't want to fucking sit in the office all day and journal. So that's why I do that as like all right, if I'm going to trade and risk money, I'm going to be a sniper and get the highest quality trades because I know I've got to discipline myself to go and journal those trades after. Yeah, that's it, man. You got to get that messy journal, man. You know, that's it, man. You got to go install an oven in your kitchen. I'll send my chart on WhatsApp. Yeah, for sure, my bro. I hope you don't electrocute yourself or something. Take care, man. But guys, that's it. Unless there's any more questions, we will call it a day now. Obviously, I did send the link for the group in the community. Obviously, make sure you go in and buy your tickets for that event on the 28th, because we will go through our entire trading plan, our entire boot camp, and you'll get to network with multiple 6, 7, and 8-figure earners on that day. Yeah. So unless there's no other questions or Nothing else. Yeah. I love that, Tony, man. What's this? Oh, damn. Bro's going hard. Oh, I love that. Oh, bro, damn is damn, bro. I love these Chinese words, bro. It looks so cool. I don't know what it says though. Bro. But yeah, cool. No other questions, guys. We'll call it a day. I'll literally give you 30 more seconds. You guys are more than welcome to. Oh, here we go. We've got a question. LPS, LPSY. Here we go. Do you want to unmute, Jay? Or
Yo, bro, yeah, just a quick one, yeah. So what I've noticed with like OPSY players, so you get your initial schematic, say like your distro, and then it doesn't price doesn't mitigate right back up to the 50, so it gives you that LPSY. So you can actually set a limit off that, right? Like off of the 50 or off of the 80 of the LPSY. Sometimes, like obviously, if it tags you in, great. Sometimes it still doesn't come back up to that, I've noticed, and it will just like redistro again. But at that point, is it best not to then set another limit off of that, wait for a micro on like say the seconds or something, because like once it passes that LPSY, you're starting to build up liquidity, right? Like
so
because more not,
yeah.
I've no,
So there's a few ways to get in, bro. So if it's like a seconds time frame, right? Like really lower time frame, sometimes, bro, I don't even wait for any of that. Sometimes I just do a buy stop, a sell stop, or a market execution as soon as it breaks the low and put my stop above the high. Because if I'm on a 5 second chart, right, and I'm looking at like a 2 pip, a 3 pip stop, and I've got like a 30, 40 pip target, I don't even need to wait for the mitigation at that point. You know what I mean? I'd put my stop at the high because it's so small. So sometimes you can just do that. But you're saying specifically if it is, so obviously let's define LPS. LPS needs to try to accumulate, right, to validate an entry. It then needs to distribute, obviously missing the 50%, and then redistribute, right? And then
yeah,
you're saying one more time. You're saying if what happens?
yeah. So say then from that point, so you've got the LPS that's confirmed. Then it comes back up. So like it's one or two. So you might get tagged in off of the say 50 or 80 of that LPS. So that's great. You're already in a position. Or let's say it comes up, but it doesn't quite mitigate that. Like sellers are just so strong, and then it comes down and it like redistros again, like gives another like small redistro. It would it be worth then setting a limit off that redistro or not really, like dropping down and seeing if you get a micro when it comes back up? Because more often than not, I've seen like it will come back up from this point, uh, invalidate the LPS, and then probably react off of the 80 off of the initial
Mm, mm.
part of the leg, you
So
know?
yeah, so this is your legs. So like for me, because this is LPS, like this does not maintain anything because this is still part of the distro, and then technically on a higher time frame, it's just lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. You know, so I will keep that limit on. That limit will stay. So that's not a problem. But if it is doing the valid LPS where it's accumulating, it's distributing, and it's doing that, I'll play a limit in here too. But you're saying like if it does this and then drops,
Yeah,
right?
that's right. And then
So
comes back, takes out the LPS, and then normally reacts off of around the 80 of the larger like
yeah.
initial schematic.
Like if I'm seeing liquidity build up, I'll probably wait for a micro or just lower the risk. But bro, I'm happy. Like if it's at LPS, I'll make the decision. I'll set a limit and keep my limit there and demand the loss.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Got yeah.
Yeah, I'm not scared to lose. You know, that's the thing. I lose every single week, and my ability to lose is how I win. To be honest with you, bro. So don't be afraid to lose. Like in this case here, you know, like okay, set both. You know, okay, if they both lose, is what it is. Move on. Maybe you just misread the whole schematic at that point. If it was, I mean, obviously there's different types of losses. A loss that's valid because sometimes you can do everything right and still lose, and sometimes you just misread the chart. Assuming you're doing it right, assuming everything's validated, bro. Yeah, I'll take both for sure.
Oh yeah, and just one more question. With the LPS, do you always need to have a off of the distro after that little accum? Do you always need to have a manipulation for that as well?
Yeah. For me, an LPSY entry has to be a micro reaccum.
Has to be.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
got you.
Otherwise, if it's not, like if it's just like a lower high, like so many people make this mistake where they're just like, okay, obviously it's distributed and they're like lower high, lower low, LPS. No, it needs to build out the accum and then, you know, the redistro.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, thanks, bro.
Yeah, got you, bro. Can you go through the buys, the stops? Yeah, so you obviously got different types of orders, right? You got a market execution where you get filled at current price. You got a limit order where, for example, it has to trade through it and then reverse back through it. And then you've got a stop order. So a stop order, for example, the distribution would be like this. You place a stop here, and let's say it's reversing. You place a sell stop here. Your stop loss would go here, and then as it goes through and starts melting, it fills you in the entry for a stop order. And obviously, you can still have a limit order like that if you really wanted, and you could also offset if you really wanted to. But I only do this on like really small time frames. So sometimes you can just do full risk and go like that if the risk reward's good. If it's a bit shit, you can split your risk and do one like this, and then just offset another entry like that with above the high. Or you can even just do both. Like that. It all depends. But again, like for me, most of the time, bro, I'm not going to try and do bear entries. I'll calculate if it's worth it. I'll just go and play like that. If I'm talking, if this is like a 5-second chart or a 1-second chart or a 15-second chart, and I'm getting a very small stop loss, then still getting that bigger risk reward. Obviously, I'm not doing it to get a 1 to 2 or a 1 to 3. I'd rather stay in bed. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. Especially if it's a small chart like that, bro. Like as soon as it breaks, market execute or set the stop. Especially like if you've got your 1, 2, your 3 drives, you just got your manipulation. Yeah, you can just set the stop there. Could you go over how much you would offset and how would you calculate whether it's worth offsetting or just stop the 100 to see the risk to reward, bro? So like if you're saying, for example, right, all right, if I just go for a 1 to, I'm just trying to make up numbers, and so let's see if this works out with my calculations, right? So let's say, for example, this, if I just do a stop here, right, entry here, stop here, and let's just say it's a 1 to 10, right? If I'm risking $100, quick maths, that's $1,000 profit, right, on a 1 to 10. But now, if I got to do half of that risk, so if I throw $50, right, but I'm now going for a 1 to 15 risk reward because I'm offsetting it, meaning if I was doing a 1 to 10 like this, full risk like that, for example, I'd make the 1,000, let's just say. But now let's say I said half of my risk and did it like this, but it was only a 1 to 15. Well, quick maths, right? I'm now risking half, making a 1 to 15. Oh, the risk reward seems better, but 50 times 15 is only 750. So I'm actually not making as much money rather than doing that. Now I'll also say, well, what's the risk reward of the 80%? Okay, let's say the 80s are 1 to, let's say the 80s are 1 to 20. All right, cool. $50 times 20, it's $1,000 profit. But am I really making $1,000 because I'm going to lose the 50 off the 50? That's already 950, and I got the spreads and commissions off this too, so that'll probably be like 900. So I'm actually making less money by offsetting it in this example. So just because the risk reward sounds better doesn't mean it's better. You got to calculate how much you'd actually make. So what I'm trying to say is, if now I'm looking at that and then just doing one entry at the off, or one entry like this, or one entry like this at full risk, I might make more money like that. So I also have to calculate how much I would make. Let me know if that makes sense or if I went through it too quick. Yeah. In a reaccum, there's a, okay, so in a reaccum, so we got the distro, the accum, and then the sign of strength, which confirms the reaccum. The 50% will be higher than the range ones you prefer. There's an accum. If you fib the whole range, the 50% will be higher the fib than the accum. Which one you prefer? It doesn't matter what the point. So this is the thing, right? So my whole reaccum will be demand in the future for sure, but I like to fib it up to understand discount and premium. So for me, like I'd rather buy from discounted the 50 or the 80%. I mean, if it's a valid reaccum, it's valid, bro. Like, you can still buy off it. But if I have the option to buy here or buy here or buy here, I'd rather buy lower. So I'm less aggressive trying to buy here because it can still do that. Versus if it's down here, I'll be more aggressive on the buy because if I'm wrong, the whole trade idea is wrong. Does that make sense, bro? Or maybe I misunderstood the question. If not, cool. Anyone else got any other question? Yeah, sometimes, yes, bro, you're right. Sometimes it won't. So if it doesn't, there's nothing you can do, bro. Like if it just does that and goes, is what it is. There's really nothing you can do about it, bro. You just missed the trade. Like maybe she'll come back later. You know, at that point, there's really nothing you can do about it. Loss review. You was the shakeout. Well, what's your reaccumulate? You've got a higher time frame in this, bro. S&P. When was this? Oh, this is you. Oh, my bad. What is it? You 30. Okay, get some food, bro. Right, you 30. When was this, bro? Oh, it's definitely it's better. 100% it's better to miss a trade than being in a low probable trade. 100%. Let's see. So when was this, bro? Where was this? Where was this? When was this trade, bro? What day? Oh, I do need to get those cinnamon buns in me, bro. Is this back here? 3 p.m. UK Thursday. Here. Oh, here, right? Oh, yeah. So there's no shakeout, bro, and no cause and effect. So, like, if you remember, in the chat, what did I say? All right. Yeah. So let me show my screenshot I sent in the chat. So where was it? Oh man, I can't believe ES got destroyed. So if we go in our Telegram, where was we? This was the befores. Oh man, that ES trade was a banger, bro. Hope you guys got in on that. Well, here, right? So I said we need to remember what I say. I said we got liquidity, so we need to sweep the low and do that. You know, we didn't get our shakeout. You know, we had our distro was in phase B of an accumulation. We needed a spring. You know, the only thing that would validate this reaccum with no manipulation is if this has cause and effect to the left. So when you go back now and look at this, this is the area. We never got the sheet sweep. We never got the shakeout. So if we got the shakeout, I would have got in regardless of it not breaking that. I would have done that. But because it never had the shakeout, it would have needed to break that to now be a reload. So your problem here is there's basically no cause and effect and no shakeout. You need one of them at the very least. Oh, you caught 19R off that SPX trade? Yes, sir, man. Put you up for the week? Yes, sir. Or one. I got 3 of them. This one was aggressive. Then we've got the other little reaccum we called, and then the one on from Thursday. Yeah, makes sense. Cool. Yeah, these were clean, man. I mean, where were the before screenshots? Where were they? No, the NAS. Yeah, this was the ES one on Friday. That was a fucking banger. Was this Thursday? No, Thursday. My bad. Yeah, in here, obviously, smack 123. It should keep going. Yeah. Oh, you just got the second one? Yeah. Cool. All right. Well, if we've got no more questions, then we'll call it a day. Cool. All right, guys. Cool. Well, with that being said, obviously, my team will have another call on Thursday. Obviously, that's going to be private. So I'll see you all on Thursday for our next live trading session. Like I said, keep an eye on some of those pairs I was looking at. I will check equities later today. We can maybe buy below the open on these and confirm a reaccum. But I don't want to be that aggressive. Still early in the week. So I think U30 is coming in for the shakeout now. So maybe we can see an accumulation at the open. I'll look for the accum at the open to maybe take a buy. But I'd rather play the reaccum on these. Obviously, NAS, what do we say on NAS? So yeah, ideally NAS played a reaccum on this, or if we kind of sweep the Asia range and then maybe micro somewhere down here, that would be quite nice. Somewhere in here. Or ES. Or ES maybe come all the way down here, or at least accumulate in here to send it. Cool. All right, guys, I'll see you lot at the top, from the top, because you know, man, the bottom's too crowded. Take care. 28th of December. Remember, London, central London. Be there.